And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon. Today I am talking with Mitch McDermott. Mitch, man, thank you for taking some time out of your day to hang out with me on Experts Speak.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. It is going to be a fun conversation. So Mitch is the CEO, the founder of Talent Ascension Group. And so we're going to talk today about finding great mid-level talent. And I'm not going to give away the candy and what he does, but he's going to help you build the talent in your business at that mid-level so that your business can grow even better. So Mitch, tell me, as we get into this whole conversation, how in the world did you get doing this?
Yeah, great question. Honestly, my dad,
Oh,
he
really?
started one of the top 25 global executive search firms focused on C-level hires, C-level minus one. So I grew up in this business, and when I got out of college, I got into one side of our industry referred to as contingent recruiting. And I was instantly shocked at how different the models were based on what my perception of recruiting was and what it was at the executive level versus the contingent side. And ultimately, I didn't love it. It was high volume, it was transactional. You only get paid if you win. So it does create a more transactional relationship between recruiting firms and their clients, recruiting firms and their candidates. And it ultimately shocked me how the same process, the same methodology was used to hire an entry level person as a director or VP. And that's what led me to start my firm 5 years ago was to take the standards and practices of C-level recruiting and bring it down to the middle of the org chart, managers, directors, VPs, and taking some of the pricing structure of a contingent agreement to kind of meld both models together for something that fit the level of the org chart that we serve.
Huh. That's very cool. I love John Maxwell. I've been read lots of his books and followed him for years and years and years. And in one of his tapes or something from years ago, he was talking about um, leadership, like he always does. But he says leaders see and seize an opportunity. And that's what you did. Because of your background, you saw an opportunity and you didn't just go, yeah, okay. No, you said, okay, here's an opportunity. How can I merge my background, those worlds, and bring something to the market that is probably much needed? Because I'm guessing you either hire an executive firm to recruit those high level CEO types, or it's relegated to like the HR department. Is that fair? Is that right?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Or they'll use a firm that, again, it's a high volume design model, which doesn't always lead to the right outcomes for
Yeah.
leadership level positions.
Yeah. Because when you're in that leadership level, you're dealing with guys and gals who should be pretty experienced. They should be bringing a lot to the table. You're looking for those A players, and sometimes they're not that easy to find. And it sounds like you've built this process. Talk a little bit about the human interactions, the way you go about it from mid finding you keep saying or I keep saying the mid level, so we're
Yeah.
talking directors, vice presidents and things, using a model that's similar to recruiting those high levels executives, right?
Exactly. And like
Okay.
it really starts with a targeted search. What I found with the contingent space is it's about volume. And it's a lot of posting jobs, which an HR department could do. It's sending a lot of messages on LinkedIn. An HR department can do that. It wasn't really creating additional value in what someone could do on their own. And especially with AI now, companies can engage an AI platform to do a lot of these things. What we do is headhunting. It's uncovering people who aren't looking. I would say about 95% of our candidates are currently employed. So it's uncovering the needle in the haystack that our client is looking for.
Okay.
Heavy research, identifying a short list of typically 25 to 30 people, not everyone, but the best people, and picking up the phone and building a relationship. A model, the thing that's interesting with recruiters is the approach, and this is similar even at C-level search. It's, hey, I'm working with this company on this role, and here's why it's exciting. They make it about the job. The way we reach out is we make it about the candidate. We get to know them. We get
Mm,
to know what they like about what they're doing, maybe what they don't love, what they would long for, what a dream job looks like. And we get them to open their perspective to
yeah,
the future of something different. Even if they tell us, no, I'm happy, well, let's at least talk about it. And
that's
if
right.
what they're seeking long term aligns with what our client can offer, then we start to talk about the qualifications, what they do. This allows us to get authentic information from people. When you sell the job up front, you give the candidate the answers to the test. You start hearing what you want to hear to hit a KPI for your firm and hit a number of candidates going to the client. Doesn't always mean that they're the right person for the job or that company. So our whole process revolves actually around the candidate, making it about them, serving them. And if there's alignment, that's where the magic happens.
That's very cool. I love that because, I mean, what you're doing at one level plays into marketing principles is
Yeah.
that not everybody is ready today to buy your product, right? Not everybody you call is ready to make a change. But if you build the relationship with them, you're interested in them, they may be ready in 6 months or a year, 2 years, or you may find a different opportunity that's a better fit for them down the road. But it's because you're looking out for their interest and understanding who they are, whether or not they fit this specific model today or job today. Is that fair?
That's fair, but here's what I'll tell you too. Just by thinking about the future, getting them to ask, hey, in 12 months, if I had the perfect role, what would that look like? And if
Mm-hmm.
what they describe is what I'm calling them about today,
Yeah.
at that point, they're ready to have that discussion.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's definitely a long-term relationship approach, but it's also psychologically opens them up to consider something now. When they first answered, they said no. I'm good
Right.
right now. So there's two prongs to it. And again, if it's not the right thing, then it's definitely let's stay in touch. Sometimes we get referrals to great people. So I really focus on the people and relationship aspect of our business, not about hitting a certain amount of KPIs or getting a certain number of candidates to our client. It's about building real relationships with people and knowing that if we do that, we will get our clients the best people in the market because they're going to get turned off by the high volume approach of like, we have this job. No, I'm good. I'm happy. Right. Like, they want to, I look at us like the agent to the candidate, like we're their career advisors.
That's awesome. I love that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, every sports person has their agent who's
Yeah.
fighting for them, right?
Yeah, and we're
Um,
dealing with people who are mid-career, 10, 25 years in, like they make a good amount of money, right? Like they don't want to be sold something. They want to have an advisor, a trusted confidant that can give them real career advice. And sometimes we get the best candidates by doing it. Like we've had candidates where they've been at a company for they love it, right? But then they've mistaken complacency for comfort, and opening their mind to, hey, I get everything's great, but if you stay here for another 5 years, what does your growth look like?
right.
You told me your goal is to go from a controller to a CFO. Do you have that opportunity there? No. Well, what if I have something that could offer that? Are you
Yeah.
willing to at least entertain a conversation?
Yeah.
And again, it's real authentic stuff. It's about learning their goals and then giving them real feedback on what it takes to get to that goal. And if where they're at today is the right environment to achieve what they say they want.
Interesting. That's very cool. So relationship based. So you're doing a lot of head hunting and things. And explain just at a real high level. So you guys go out and you find like two or three candidates, let's say for a job, right? For a position that this company has. And then do you introduce them to the company and then they have a vetting process, or
We
do you
do.
kind of work
So
with them?
we vet, and it's a white glove process end to end. We negotiate the offers between both parties.
Okay.
We've really mastered how to hire exceptional talent. And honestly, I've seen things get screwed up at the offer negotiation, at the interview stage, at the feedback stage of getting back quickly enough. So I find if our clients are serious about hiring great people, let us run the process. We're the pros.
Hmm.
We're the doctors of recruiting, right? You don't go to the doctor and say, here's what I need. I want this. I want this prescription. It's no, tell me the problem, tell me the pain, and I'll prescribe you what I think will help with your symptoms and the
Yeah.
root cause of what's happening. And that's a lot of what we're doing. So it is end to end. We find the people, we do a lot of deep vetting. It's not like a 10-minute call and we ship them over to the client. It's in depth, getting to know the experience, the person behind the resume, and then working with our client in tandem to run a hiring process that
Yeah.
leads to success.
That's awesome. Because yeah, I can only imagine what, through your whole vetting process as you're having conversations. I'm sure sometimes there's something that comes up that's we would call the red flag to go, yeah, this is not going to be a good fit for this company for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
But you're doing that in conversation, but because you're an agent, you may have another client down that you're not even thinking about for this guy that goes, you know what? But if you're just going through the motions, it's going to be yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. It's more binary where what you're doing is you're digging in, it sounds like, and really um, giving these men and women opportunities to see a bigger, brighter future when they're ready.
Yeah, we want to change people's lives. And what I find is limiting beliefs are what keep people stuck in jobs and
Hmm.
careers where they don't hit their goals. They end up in their 40s and 50s going, I thought I'd be here and I'm here. So it's really about opening people's perspectives to opportunities. And then also helping companies. If we get the right people, like the mid-level org is incredibly critical. C-level drives strategy. Mid-level translates those strategies into outcomes, and that will either drive your business forward or completely screw everything up. It'll mess up your culture, it'll mess up your execution. And I don't think companies pay enough attention to that. Like we work with private equity. Some firms are really involved and focused on C-level. Some are really focused on the roles we play at because they understand that that team in the middle is going to be a make or break for the strategy that them, the board, and the C-level team has put in place. Because at the end of
Yeah.
the day, CFOs, CEOs at middle market $100 million companies, they're not as much on the front lines as their direct reporting team at the mid level.
Right. It's fun. It's funny you bring that up because I'm just sitting here thinking, we just came out of the Super Bowl a couple weeks ago, and CEO, right? So you got the quarterback. Everybody focuses on the quarterback, but if you don't have those front linemen, the mid-level people, quarterback side, he doesn't do anything. It's those people that protect, that move the ball down the field, right? But everybody focuses on one. But you can't have the one. I talk to people all the time. Steve Jobs at Apple, he was great. He's amazing. He was a great marketer and communicator and visionary, but he had people below him executing his ideas. And without those people, we would not have the iPhone today. He had the
Yeah,
idea, but Steve would never do all the technology to get that thing done, right? He needed those mid level people who were on board directionally, who could communicate his vision and build trust and teamwork, right?
absolutely.
Yeah, that is a very unique space that you have stepped into and are really helping. And I love the name of the company, the Ascension Group, right? Because you're putting people in place. And I'm guessing based on our conversation, most of the people you're finding to put in place at these mid-level leadership roles aren't there to stay there and keep that company where it is today. They're coming with a vision of the future. Go, how can I pour into this new company that I'm with to help all of us grow in the coming days?
Absolutely. I mean, it's very, very rare to come across a client where they talk about there's no promotional opportunity. We just want to stay as is. We don't want to grow. They're always looking for some type of impact. And that's what we pride ourselves on is it's not about getting the right resume. It's about getting the person who drives outcomes. And it's
Mhm.
interesting too, because you talk about our process and how involved we are.
Yeah.
Half the battle is actually steering our client. Because a lot of companies hire for criteria, they check boxes, and then they wonder why people aren't sticking or working out as they would have hoped.
Right.
And what I look for is what are the outcomes? What are the challenges? Why would you look back in 2 years and say, I would have paid you double for this person? Let's solve for that. And that's oftentimes the person more than the resume. And being able to understand who the right people are for each specific client.
That's incredible. And that takes a lot of work on your side to understand the client and their needs, their dreams, their desires. And like you said, sometimes probably pushing back on them to go, all right, let's talk some more about this. What are you really looking for?
Yeah.
And that's going to help me go out and find that right person. And it also understands, when I was with a ministry, a worldwide ministry one time, and then when we hired it, we always looked at, um, what was it? Competency, character. Um, was it a good fit, in the organization? And sometimes you'd meet somebody who had the qualifications, and they may have had the right character, but they just didn't fit my team for some reason. So we put them in a different place. And so you've got to do all of that for your client, the company, and make that match as best you can so that the retention of those hires that you bring to the table, they stick, they stay, and the company grows. Because if they're just a mill, hiring, firing, they're not getting anywhere, right?
You don't make progress that way. And it's interesting. I look at culture for the kind of talent we hire three ways. It's the team below, the team alongside them, and the team above them. Like you have to fit all three categories or else it can create disruption.
Yeah. Wow. And it's so challenging because I imagine a lot of companies just they don't know you exist because this is kind of a, as you and I were talking off mic. I don't know that I've ever met anybody who does what you do at that level, the mid level, and so they're just business owners are just kind of relegating it to what they've always done. And what you're saying is there's a new model, and it's not a brand new model. It's a model that you've morphed from proven other models that are going to work for your organization at this level. And you've designed your company specifically to solve this issue, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something we're learning. I mean, we've been at this 5 years. I really architected the company with this intention and this mission in mind. And some of what we're doing is reconditioning the market,
Yeah.
working with our clients to understand why. And it's been working very, very well. And we've been growing quite a bit. And we're kind of at another aggressive growth phase, which is exciting. But yeah, a lot of it is almost retraining hiring leaders and CEOs to understand there's a different way to approach hiring at this level, and quite frankly, a better way than how things have been done historically.
Yeah.
And the clients
Absolutely.
we work with never leave. So like we have a lot of proof in the pudding. There's a lot of data we use to support the outcomes we create, and we have a lot of it. But yeah, it's been an exciting journey.
Yeah. I love that. Let me ask you two questions.
Okay.
One, do you work only with companies? Meaning, if you've got a mid-level person out there who's seasoned, but they're itching for something more, can they call you and you can fit them, or do you only work with the company?
It's interesting you ask. Historically, only the company.
Yeah.
They come to us with like again their specific need, the needle in the haystack they want, and then we go find that person. Um, the challenge with supporting candidates and representing candidates is in some ways it hurts their ability to get jobs because if a company's hiring for a role and we identify it and we put them forward, they're now associated with a fee that company may or may not have been thinking about paying or willing to
Uh,
pay. I did create last year like a career advisory program where I met
yeah.
with people one on one, and then I did a group cohort where I basically like coached them on methodologies
Hmm.
to get a job. Very
Yeah.
disruptive, very contrarian, more than just hitting apply. And we had a lot of success. And these were people who had never looked for a job in 15, 20 years, but were part of big corporate layoffs. And
Yeah.
we're trying to navigate LinkedIn and AI in this new world we're in from a job search strategy, which I personally think is broken.
Yes.
So that was something I did that I got a lot of energy from. But no, I mean, from a standpoint, we really do support the company.
Awesome. Okay. And then what size companies would be a good fit for you? Because I'm guessing you're not
Yeah.
working with solopreneurs, right?
No, no, because we do have minimum fees, so
Okay.
that elevates us to a certain level. I would say the minimum size of most of our clients are about 20 million in revenue. We have
Okay.
some that have been smaller, but most from a pricing standpoint for this to make sense for them and feasibility is
Yeah.
like $20 million plus. I would say 70% of our clients fit kind of lower middle market, so like 20 million up to let's call it a billion. And then
Mhm.
we do have some enterprise clients too. So it's very diverse, very broad, but I think the majority is that middle market layer because it's not an environment where they have a lot of directors. Each of those roles are critical to organizational outcomes, especially at that 50 to $200 million size,
Yeah.
where again, there's not a robust team to lean on. These people are expected to carry a lot of hat and a lot of weights, right? These directors are tactical and strategic. They're playing dual roles, playing above and also playing below and rolling up their sleeves to fill holes when needed. So that's where we see a lot of the need and demand, I think, just based on how critical those hires are at companies at that stage.
That's awesome. I love that. And so you're if you're a company out there and you're looking for that middle level directors and vice presidents and you're wanting to grow, let me just encourage you to reach out to Mitch and his team. Talent Ascension Group. Mitch, how would somebody, if they're out there, they're hearing this, they know somebody who's running a company that needs your help, how does somebody find you, learn more about you and your company?
Yeah, great question. I mean, LinkedIn's a great way. Mitch McDermott on LinkedIn. I post a lot of content. I try to get a lot of my ideas and put value out there for people on our hiring kind of beliefs and frameworks. And then our website, which is just talentascension.com. That's another great way to learn more about the firm. There's a contact form, but I always think the best way is just to connect on LinkedIn and shoot me a note.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to grab those and have those in the show notes so that you can reach out to Mitch and start having this conversation about how you can build that mid-level talent in your organization to really strengthen it so that you are poised for greater growth long term and let him go out and find the right key people for your organization. Mitch, this has been really intriguing, really fun. Thanks for being my guest, but thanks for creating this because there's really no other firm that we know of that's doing what you're doing at the mid level. So thanks for finding that, seeing that opportunity, being courageous enough to jump in there and create a company to serve clients and to really make a difference. That's amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Michael. Thanks.
You are welcome. So check out the show notes. Reach out to Mitch. Send this to some friends. You all know some people that may be running companies like this who need what he's offering. So send this to them. And thanks for listening to Expert Speak. Tune in again next time for another great episode. Take care. God bless.